Good morning. I'd like to share 8 tips for Windows 11. And if you are fortunate to get a new computer for Christmas, hopefully these tips will help. The first thing that will jump out at you is the placement of the start button. Long located at the lower left corner of the screen, it's now centered with the rest of the icons on the taskbar. But don't worry, you can change it back. So what you do is you right-click on an empty space on the taskbar, and you'll see something that says Taskbar Settings. Click on that, and then where it says Taskbar Behaviors, click on that, and you'll see Taskbar Alignment. Change it from center to left. And then your taskbar will now be to the left of your screen. And of course, to change it back, you just right click again, taskbar settings, scroll down to taskbar behavior, and then change the alignment again to center. Tip number 2 is if you want to add more options to your right-click menu. The right-click menu now focuses only on the most important settings. Should you need more settings, such as print, set a new background, a view, the full file location, for instance, select Show More Options to open a spillover menu. So if I right-click on a blank space, I'll get a menu, and at the bottom it will say Show More Options. As you can see, it's very minimalistic now. But here, when you click on Show More Options, you should get some additional uh, um, options to use. And these can be context menus. So you may not see, for instance, you don't see the print one here, but in some instances you will. But if you don't see what you are looking for when you normally do a right click, then click on Show More Options. Tip number 3 is you can customize your quick settings panel. In Windows 11, it separates the quick settings that appear in the Action Center in Windows 10 from the panel's notifications. Click the area of the taskbar that has the Wi-Fi speaker and battery icons to open a setting menu that lets you control Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, airplane mode, etc. So what we're talking about here, if I click in this area right here, I'll get the quick settings. I can add or remove the number of settings that I want to use by clicking here on the edit. And you notice now I have these little pin cushions. If I want to add additional ones that I don't see, I can click on add, and then I have accessibility, and that adds. I click on, if I need the night light, I can click on that. And then once I'm done, I just click done. And then I have those additional quick settings. For our tip number 4, new ways to snap your Windows layout. In the past, we've had to move screens to the left or right, but now in Windows 11, if you go to the Maximize, you'll see that you now have this little grid, and you can then select one to move your windows left to right. You also can size them differently as well just by clicking on whichever area you want that particular window that's open to be at. So you can click your select preferred formation and then move your apps into place. And you can turn this behavior off and on in settings if you prefer. And some keyboard shortcuts let you quickly snap windows. For example, the Windows key left arrow snaps the windows to the left half of the screen. Also, if you move a window up to the top of the screen, you notice that you also have some options where you can as well um, select which side or how you want the layouts to be on your screen. Tip number 5 is add tabs to File Explorer. With the Windows 11 22H2 update, it changed what had already started for the File Explorer. It gave it a new appearance. So, like some other operating systems now, you can now have tabs in your File Explorer. And all you need to do in order to open up a new tab is right click on the folder and say open a new tab. And as you can see, a, a new tab appears. If I want to open up another one, I can go open up a new tab, open up new tab. So as you see here, I have 3 tabs open, and I can toggle between those just by clicking on them. And I can also move things between. Say, for instance, if I want to move this file to my test tab number 3, I can just move it by going up to the area, and then I'm now in tab number 3, and I can just drop it here. And so now I've added my file to tab number 3. So it takes a little practice to get used to it. As you notice, the layout is quite a bit different. And that brings us to our tip number 6, and it's how the File Explorer has Microsoft has streamlined the ribbon. So if you go back to your file, you'll notice that rather than having the ribbon bar that was segmented, it now has these icons that now takes the place of the old ribbon bar. And this is context specific. So say, for instance, if I want to do a search, you'll notice that it changes um, to it adds more icons. So if I wanted to say, for instance, do a let's just put word there and see what I get. You notice here now it's added search options, and it's also added um, an area where I can also close the search. So there's quite a bit of change to the old File Explorer as we once knew it. So it's something that you might want to play around with to get acquainted with. And like any other also, you notice that home is here, which gives you a different view. Um, might take a little minute. This is normally where your quick access ones would appear. It's taking a little bit more time. So we'll just go ahead to our next tip. Our tip number 7 is to view the app list. Now, in Windows 11, when you click on the Start menu, you get a new menu and it shows your pin and your recommended. But to get to all apps, you want to click here, and then it shows you all the apps that are installed on your computer. Which brings us to the last tip, and that is, as you notice on your Start menu, the live tiles has been replaced by these icons, and these are the ones that I have pinned. And in order to pin these to my um, Start menu, I go to All Apps, and then I can right click, and I have Pin to Start. Also, under More, can pin to Taskbar. But the Pin to Start, I just click here, and then I can click the back button. And now, as in before, the new pinned app is at the end of the list. As you see here, I pinned the Access. And to unpin, you can do the same thing by right clicking on that particular icon and click on Unpin from Start. You also can add or create folders, such as I did for my Microsoft Office here. All I did was go to All Apps, and I to All Apps. I clicked on All Apps, and I'm going to take Access here again, put it back. I didn't mean to open it. All Apps. I got to right click, Pin to Start, and now I can take my Access and I can move it to Microsoft Office, and now I've added it to my Microsoft Office folder. Anytime, just like on your phone, if you drag an icon or a app over another one, it immediately creates a folder where you can name it. And say, for instance, if I decided to combine Edge with Edge with my, oops, gosh. If I decided to, I can just drag that over here and drop it. And now you see it creates a folder, and I can then uh, click on that folder and also give it a name as well. So that is some of the tips that we have created in Windows 11. And my sources was the PC Magazine that was updated in February 28th of 2023. And I'm Bill James, and that was Tech for Seniors, 8 Tips for Windows 11.
Two vehicles, very difficult to purchase in 2023 because of limited supply. The Toyota RAV4 gas hybrid and the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid. I couldn't decide on which one, so I bought two of them. So I'm going to tell you which one in 2024 do I recommend that you purchase. You may be surprised at my answer. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, where we make videos to help seniors understand technology and to help them purchase new vehicles. Today I'm going to look at two very difficult cars to purchase, and that is the RAV4 plug-in hybrid and the RAV4 gas hybrid. Before we get started with the video, I'd sure appreciate that like and subscribe. Everyone at Tech for Senior is a volunteer, and we work hard producing these videos. And in this video, I had to go out and buy two vehicles. So let's get on with the video. So you should watch this video if you are considering purchasing either of these two vehicles, because they are quite different, but somewhat similar. You should watch this video if you're interested in electrification, you're thinking about buying an electric car of some sort. This talks about hybrid technology, which I think you'll find very interesting. Now, I want to put it all in perspective. I live on the west coast of Canada. I appreciate that this video will be shown internationally in various countries around the world. So I just wanted to give you a rough idea of where I am, where I live, and the attitude of electrification in Canada. So in 2035, the Canadian government has decided that there will be no more gas engines sold in Canada. That's about 11 years from now, so an ambitious goal to obtain. As you move west, the interest in electrification for cars, I think, increases. In British Columbia, where I live, there's actually a very high demand for electric cars. Well, I don't actually live on the mainland. I live on Vancouver Island, which amazingly has the highest number of Teslas per capita in all of Canada. We are very green orientated, and on the street I live in Comox, British Columbia, there are only 2 gas engines left from people. We have most of them are Teslas or hybrids now. So I'm in an environment where it is pretty normal to use an electric car. So let me give you some personal background on how this all happened. I want you to remember a specific date, and that would be June of 2023. The reason that's important is because that was a big family event for me, and we had decided that we wanted a new vehicle for that event. Now, up until about 4 years ago, we owned a home in Arizona, and we traveled back and forth. I had an old beater here in Comox we used for popping around doing grocery shopping, which wasn't that reliable, and it was getting even more unreliable as we moved along. So we decided that probably in 2021 that we were going to replace that vehicle, and started looking in early 2022. Now, in early 2022, we were still in the resolving pandemic. In fact, the car lots looked a lot different than they do now. They had no cars, none. So in 2022, the car lots looked very different than they do now. So my wife and I started looking, usually on Fridays, we'd go for lunch and spend the afternoon looking at each dealer, looking at the cars, trying to make a decision. And we had a very difficult time because there were no cars. It was a very bizarre situation, And any used cars that were around, they were certainly more money than the new cars. It was a confusing time and very difficult to try and purchase a new car. So we had a challenge there. Also, we thought it would be a good idea to, because of the climate we live in, it would be a very good idea if we looked at possibly a hybrid or some sort of electric car. Now, it was a stroke of luck that my partner in ℙ𝕝𝕗, Hewie Poplock, introduced me to a man by the name of Mike Ungerman. I got to know Mike, and he had a plug-in hybrid car and was very much into electric vehicles. We arranged to produce a series on ℙ𝕝𝕗 about electric cars and how they work. We did this in the later 2022, and we produced the series for the 2022 year of ℙ𝕝𝕗. This was very helpful in my wife and I deciding our final purchase consideration. So we decided to purchase a RAV4 because of the popularity. Also, the RAV4 hybrid system was the same that they used on the Prius, and they had been around for 20 years. Most of the taxi cab fleets around the world use Priuses. It's rock-solid technology with wide appeal. So we thought we couldn't go wrong in buying a RAV4 hybrid. And we thought it was probably a good idea to buy a plug-in one so we wouldn't use gas. So with our decision made, we headed off to the Toyota dealership. Now, I did have an in at this particular dealership because I knew the sales manager. His name was Dennis. Dennis introduced himself, and then we teed up with a salesman. I sat down and said, "You don't need to discuss this. I've made up my mind. I want a Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid." I had my checkbook there, and I said, "I'll take one and I'll write you a check." And he sort of smiled and said, "Well," he said, "there right now is a 3-year waiting list for them. They're made only in Japan." He said that we could certainly put your name on a list, but I won't be getting the car for 3 years. Well, that's not going to help me because I needed it for, remember, the June of 2023. So we discussed the options. He said, "What about a gas hybrid?" And I said, "Well, that's okay." And we looked at that, and he said, "We probably are looking about a year to a year and a half, but as the pandemic finishes and supplies are going to increase," he said, "I think things are going to change." So we indeed ordered a gas hybrid in addition to ordering the plug-in hybrid. As I left the dealership, I dropped by Dennis's office and I said, "You know, this is a weird dealership. You don't have any cars. It's 3 years to buy one. What is going on?" He winked at me and said, "You'll have your gas hybrid in March of 2023. So to their credit, in March of 2023, our gas hybrid arrived at the dealership, and you'll be able to see that in the picture behind me. Now, for those of you who are wondering, do we plug it in? How does this run? What do we do with this vehicle? What's different about it? Well, if I gave any one of you that vehicle to drive, you would not notice anything about being a hybrid. You can't tell when the engine starts versus electricity. The only thing that you would notice that would be different is instead of filling it up with gas every 10 days, you would fill it up with gas maybe every 2 months. There's also a screen in the infotainment center which has a flowing diagram that shows you when you're driving where the electrification and charging of the internal battery comes from. This is very interesting for newbies. We call it a newbie screen in the electric car stuff. So we call it a newbie screen. After about 3 months, I settled into Willie Nelson and Google Maps, and I haven't looked at it since. But it is interesting initially when you get it. That's all it is. It's a hybrid car that has an electric motor and a gas engine along with a fuel tank. You can't tell when it switches from gas to electric. You'll drive it, it'll be just fine. The only thing, and you still put gas in it, there's nothing different. So one of the key purchase decisions you're going to have to make is the cost of these vehicles. Now, I am in Canada. These are out the door prices in Canadian dollars in 2023 in Comox, British Columbia. These are going to vary widely depending on what part of the world you're working in. So let's look at the prices. So the RAV4 gas engine is about $35,000 out the door. If you look at the RAV4 gas hybrid engine, it's $3,000 more, which works out to about $38,000. Now, the RAV4 plug-in hybrid, which has a much bigger battery where you don't necessarily have to use gas, we'll discuss that in a minute, is $15,000 more than the basic gas engine, putting it at about $50,000. So you have your base model at 35, your gas hybrid at 38, and your plug-in hybrid at 50. Now, for those of you who are thinking about buying a RAV4, the thing that you need to know, they announced last month that in 2025, the gas-only engine will not be sold in North America, maybe worldwide, I'm not sure, but it will not be sold in North America. So your entry level into the RAV4 will be the gas hybrid. So I had the enjoyment of using our vehicle for about 8 months. We fell in love with the car, and in the back of my mind, I always worried about the day when that second car would arrive, and that would be the plug-in hybrid. Well, after 8 months of driving this and thinking this was the absolute best vehicle, I got the dreaded call from Toyota. Yes, the new plug-in hybrid had arrived. What was I going to do? And I sort of dragged my feet going down to the dealership, knowing that I didn't want to pay another $12,000 more than I'd paid for my vehicle, which I love now. But anyway, I went down to the dealership and they started working on the financing, and I did a test drive with the salesman. And it was very interesting because the two cars drive a lot differently. Instantly, when I sat in the Toyota RAV4 plug-in hybrid, it drove much differently because of the added weight. It felt like I was driving one of the Suburbans I was used to. It was a very nice feeling car. So this car was a 2024 plug-in RAV4 hybrid. So after sitting with the salesman for about 3/4 of an hour and really salivating over this new car, I was going to hold my demands because I did not want really pay a lot more money because I love that gas hybrid Toyota. Well, when they presented me with the offer that it was only $10 more a month to get the plug-in hybrid, guess what happened? I drove the new car home. I now have a RAV4 2024 plug-in hybrid that didn't cost me any more money. Now, how did that all work out? Well, the first thing is that in Canada, there was a subsidy on the plug-in hybrid. So there was a federal subsidy of $5,000 and a subsidy of $2,000 from the British Columbia government. So I got $7,000 off that $12,000 difference, which meant there was $5,000 left. Well, as you'll see in this picture, it's plugged in my garage, and I just have it plugged into 110, and it plugs in the car. So basically, this vehicle is a gas hybrid car, just like the other one was, except it has a much bigger battery. And this battery will allow me to drive around 80 kilometers or 50 miles on a charge, no gas used. However, it still has the same engine, gas tank, and car design as my gas hybrid had. But it gives me the option of only using electricity as we run around town, which is 95% of our use. It also allows me to plug it in my garage. I do have a separate panel I put in last year when we did a house renovation to put a level 2 charger in, but I don't think I'm going to do that because we just plug it in and leave it overnight, and it works fine and it's plugged in and runs. So we have a gas-powered hybrid or we have a plug-in hybrid. Which vehicle would I recommend? And the answer to that really is it depends. It depends on a lot of factors. So the first factor is your attitude and the area that you live in on electrification of cars. The second is, of course, the attitude of your government. These cars are expensive, and if they want to convert and get rid of gas-powered cars, then as you saw in this case, there is about a $12,000 difference between these two vehicles. Canada, without that $5,000 from the federal government, $2,000 from the BC government, that $7,000, then would it have been practical for me to buy this plug-in hybrid? Which brings me to the third thing, and that is, how much are you going to drive? The gas hybrid was so fuel efficient, I calculated that I would only be putting $300 of fuel in. Well, I'll let you do the math, but at $300 a year into $12,000, I'm not sure I'm going to be around that long, so it would not really have been a good financial decision. Now, my final comment is really about the plug-in hybrid. I think this is amazing technology, and I'm so excited that I never have to buy gas again. If I wanted to, I could, but I'm probably not going to do much outside the 50-mile range it has for charging. But remember, in this car, I have a complete gasoline engine. It has all the oil change, oil filters. It has all the components of an ICE, or internal combustion engine. It is also very expensive. So your decision to purchase either of these two vehicles really depends on the type of driving that you do. Both these vehicles get their best performance in urban driving. City driving, such as taxi cab fleets, put a lot of miles in, very short distances, and these work great. One of the problems, of course, is if you live in a rural area and you're going to be doing a lot of highway driving. If you look at both these vehicles when you're driving on the highway and compare them to the gas-only RAV4, then there is not a lot of benefit. The added weight when you're driving on the highway really limits the effectiveness of fuel saving in these vehicles. So it really depends on the type of driving that you're going to be doing. So what are my final thoughts as we start 2024? Well, I will enjoy driving my 2024 plug-in hybrid RAV4 Prime. The purpose of this video was really to highlight the difference between a gas hybrid and plug-in hybrid, both of which I owned this past year. I do want to talk about two more vehicles I have some personal knowledge about. The first is the picture behind me, which of course is a Honda CR-V. My brother lives in Vancouver. He purchased this vehicle recently. It's just a little bit cheaper than my RAV4 Prime. It is a plug-in hybrid from Honda. It's called the CR-V. He is of course a very big fan of RAV4s, but couldn't wait the 3 years to get one. So he had no trouble getting this. It was quite easy to purchase it, and so far he's been very happy with it. You may want to look at this. The second vehicle I think you should think about is this one, which is a friend of mine just purchased. It's a Mitsubishi. Now this is an interesting vehicle. It is a plug-in hybrid, but it is a 7-passenger vehicle. It cost about the same as my RAV4 Prime, but it has one unique feature. Now, as I mentioned to you, in my vehicle, it has, of course, an internal combustion engine. Well, this vehicle, although it's a hybrid, it doesn't. It does not have an internal combustion engine. Well, how does it get its power? Well, of course, it's powered by battery, but yes, you put gas in it and fill it up. But what happens is that the engine in it is actually a generator. It generates electricity that powers the electrical wheels. So as you're driving along, you don't know what's switching from back and forth, but if you do run out of electricity in your hybrid, then of course it switches to gas, but that is not an internal combustion engine. It is a generator powering the wheels. They've been doing this a long time, so they're very good at it, and it's a very interesting car and extremely popular. So you might want to have a look at that, and it is a 7-passenger. Well, it's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior.
Email attachment limits, or how to send large files. I'm Hewie Poplock. You have a large file that you want or need to send. It could be a photo or several. It could be a video. It could be a large file, a PDF, an Excel, a publication, and so on. And it could be any other large file. There are limitations in all of the email providers and clients. And here are some examples. Gmail, it's 25 megabytes. Outlook, it's 10 megabytes. Yahoo Mail, 25. You can see, and then Outlook, the maximum file size email is 20 megabytes. Mozilla, 5 megabytes. It gives you an offer to share files larger than the number of megabytes. iCloud Mail is 20 megabytes. Email size limits usually apply on both sending and receiving emails. Why is there a maximum email size limit? Security reasons, mostly. If there were no maximum email size limits, the email server would risk to be bombarded with very large emails, causing it to cease working properly. Free email address providers give low maximum email size limits, but you can increase the maximum limit by upgrading to a paid account. Your email will bounce and you will receive an email error back in your mailbox when you hit the maximum email size limit. Usually you will receive one of the following error messages. Attachment size exceeds the allowable limit. 552, message size exceeds maximum permitted. System undeliverable. Message size exceeds outgoing message size limit. Or something like the size of the message you are trying to send exceeds the global size limit of the server. The message was not sent. Reduce the message size and try again. Can you bypass these maximum email size limits? No. However, there are workarounds. You can zip or compress on a Mac a file or files. Compressing will help, but is not the alternative to be used in most cases. You just can't compress them enough. If you're an Outlook user, you can install Wait Diet for Outlook and automatically compress outgoing file attachments so they have more chances to fit. You can upload the files to be attached to a cloud storage server like Dropbox, Google Drive, or OneDrive, and include the download link in your email. So, how do you send larger files? To send files that exceed the limit size, use a file sending service. Although there are some differences between these services, the basics are the same. You upload a large file to a company server along with the email addresses of those individuals with whom you'd like to share the files. Those recipients are then allowed to download the files at their convenience. And here's a list of them. Let's take a look at some of the things about them. Most file sending services do offer premium fee-based packages and free feature-limited uploads for smaller files. However, Send This File and FileMail do not offer any free services. Others offer 2 and 4 gigabytes. MailDrop has up to 5 gigabytes with a 1 terabyte limit, but the attachments expire in 30 days. What is large? It's not the size of an attachment, but rather the size of the entire email, including its body and all attachments. If you have several smaller attachments that add up to something over the limit, the result is defined as large. In addition, the size of an attached file isn't the size used in the calculation. Because of the way email encodes attachments, the result is approximately 20 to 40% bigger than the original. If you have a 9 megabyte file, you may find that it adds 12 megabytes to the size of your email message. Emails may travel across many servers. We think of email as a point-to-point. We send, they receive. In reality, that's not how it works at all. There are several intermediaries responsible for getting messages from point A to point B. An email message can travel across many servers and machines along the way. It's not something we have control over. Email was never meant as a way to transfer large files. The ability to attach files is a convenience, but the way email works just doesn't make it an efficient way to move large files. The alternative is very simple. Upload the file somewhere and send a link. That link can be as long as 50 characters or more. Most importantly, it's much smaller than actually including the document itself, not likely to trip any attachment-related filters, and works with any email service or program. All your recipient needs to do is click on the link to download the file. Even better, they get to choose whether to download it at all. This can be very much appreciated on slow or metered connection. There are many possibilities: Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, or MailDrop. Just remember to give the upload process enough time to actually upload the file from your machine before sharing the link with someone. Depending upon the speed of your internet connection and the size of the file, this could take some time. Dropbox works on your computer as opposed to simply using it from your web browser. You simply copy the file to be shared into a folder within Dropbox. It's a copy and paste. With OneDrive, using Windows File Explorer, you right-click on the file in your OneDrive folder, click on Share, and you will be presented with a dialog presenting some additional options. Make sure it says, "Anyone with the link can view." Click the right pointing arrow next to it if it says Edit to make sure the change. And then click Copy Link. The result will be similar to what you see on the screen. Not to be left out, Google Drive has the same feature as well. Right-click on the file in your Google Drive folder for a context menu. Much like OneDrive, clicking Share with Google Drive option instead will expose more options. Other file sharing and synchronization services may have similar features. What is MailDrop? MailDrop is an Apple feature that allows people to send large files such as videos, presentations, and images directly from the Mail app. This feature is available on iPhones, iPads, iPod Touch, and Macs. If services like Dropbox, OneDrive, or Google Drive aren't your thing, there are more alternatives. You may have some web space courtesy of your ISP. Check with them to see how to access it and how big it is. It's typically perfect for exactly what I described, regardless of what types of files you're passing around. If you're primarily sharing pictures, use a free photo sharing site like Google Photos, Flickr, or any of a number of other alternatives. If you're primarily sharing videos, use YouTube. If you're concerned about privacy, you can choose with whom to share your videos. If you're primarily sharing Word, Excel, and PowerPoint documents, consider using the services above anyway. Not only can you import and upload existing documents, but you can edit and collaborate in real time with others. If you have your own website, you already have a place to upload files. There's no need for them to be visible on the site. You can just upload and provide people a link. And now on to the demo. Let's take a look at one of the file sending services. I chose randomly and decided on WeTransfer. I can send up to 2 gigabytes for free. So let's go to our browser and go to WeTransfer.com. It tells us that we can sign up or we can get the Pro, or we can just send files. I'm going to click that. So I don't even have to create an account. I have done so, but I don't have to. Let's go ahead. We're going to email this to me. I will use, it's changing the backgrounds on us. I'll give it a title. Here is the show video. Now, I do have to upload the file to them, or I can select a folder, but let's go ahead and upload a file. And I'm going to choose one that is 914 megabytes. It's almost a gigabyte. See how long it takes to upload. Of course, I have very fast speed here. So let's go ahead and transfer. I do have more room if I wanted to add more. It's going to verify my email. So it's sending me a verification code. So I am going to check for that email, which I did on my other monitor. I just copied it. I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to tell verify. So it's now transferring almost a gigabyte. Okay, it is finished. It took less than 3 minutes to do it, but that's because I have a fast connection. I did cut out some of the time so you didn't have to sit there for the whole 3 minutes. When it finished, it gives me the information. I'm going to open up my email. There is the WeTransfer message, so we'll open that up. We have the message. Now I can click on Get Your Files or click the download link. Either item takes me to the same place, but let's go ahead and click Get Your Files. It's ready for the download. I click download. It's completed. It took a few minutes, again, because I have a very fast speed, but it is almost a gigabyte. If I right mouse click and show in the folder, you will see that it's right here, and it is 914 megabytes. It's an hour, almost an hour and a half video, but it did download. It's ready for me to play, move into another folder, do whatever I want to do with that file, and I was able to send almost a gigabyte file very quickly and easily using one of the file transfer programs. This happens to be WeTransfer. Using OneDrive. Here's how we can transfer large files using OneDrive. Let's go ahead and open up our Windows File Explorer, and we're going to go to our desktop where our folder is. We're going to find a file, and here is that video file, and we want to store it out on OneDrive. So the easy way to do it here is we have our OneDrive here with all of the folders. I'm going to find one that I have created for TFS. I have one for different people. I am now going to drag this with my mouse to the for TFS. It can move here, but since I did it with my right mouse click, I have the choice. I get the menu. By the default, it would be move here. I'm going to copy it here. It copies it out to the cloud. And so if we click on TFS, it's there. It's in the process of uploading. This can take many minutes to many hours, depending upon your internet speed. Uploaded, you'll see a check mark next to it. Once you see that check mark, it's ready to do something. Now what we're going to do is we're going to right mouse click, and we're going to come down here to the share. Now there's two shares. The one you want is the one with the OneDrive logo there. When you click on it, it says anyone with the link can edit. If you click that, you can allow editing once they've downloaded it. You apply it. You can now put a person's name there, or just hit the copy link. It'll copy it. So now I have a copy of that just to show you what it looks like. And this is the link for that file. Now I can paste that into an email, send it to somebody, and they can download it and have access to that file. That's all there is in OneDrive. It's very simple, very easy. To send a file with Gmail is quite easy. You create a new email, put the information you want, come down here to insert files using Drive, click on it. You want to find the folder that you're looking for, which is here. Here is the file that we want, Because you selected more than 25 megabytes to attach this file, the selected attachments will be shared via a drive link. Click Insert, sign your name, and send it. Someone needs access to the file. You can share it with one person. Turn the link sharing on. Anyone with the link can view. Click that and go ahead and send. And that's it. On the other end, the email was received, and included in the email is a link. You click on that link and it will download or open that file. Thanks for joining us. I'm Hewie Poplock.